Hey, how's it going? Today I'm talking about getting faster when you're slow. The Run Disney Runner's Guide.
This is Running to the Castle, a podcast for injury-prone Run Disney runners on a journey to running magical miles. Join me, Dr. Allie, as I share the secrets I've gathered as a runner, doctor of physical therapy, and coach. You'll learn the exact ways I get my clients to the castle strong without feeling broken or held together with KT tape as they cross the finish line.
So, as you know, I talk about slow runners and what they should be doing. A big problem I see in just the running world is that there's so much information out there for runners who are elite, who are looking for sub 3 hour marathons and really fast half marathons. And it can be really confusing when you see information that says do 10 strides at marathon pace, at 5K pace, at 10K pace, or whatever the pace. And you're like, well, I don't know what any of that means. Or maybe you don't even think about that. And all you think is, okay, I'm going to go do that. And I'm going to do it at a pace that I think my 5K pace is. But you and me, we are not the elite runners. We are not looking for a sub 3 hour marathon or a really fast half marathon. We're running because we like Disney and we want that medal and we want an excuse to go to Disney. And we're doing this because we need to exercise. It's not really that hard to go out and run, right? Like you can do it yourself. You don't need a whole team of 11 people like you would for a soccer game or 7 people or whatever it is. You can do it on your own time. You don't need these set game times. Like I tried joining a soccer league when we first moved here to Las Vegas, and I've played soccer my whole life up until that point. And when I lived in Massachusetts, I joined like the Boston Sports Club stuff, but I didn't live in Boston. I lived outside of Boston, like 45 minutes outside of Boston, an hour outside of Boston. So I joined that BSSC league for, I think 2 seasons maybe, and it was a lot of fun, don't get me wrong. But the games were at like 6, 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night, and I had to drive an hour to get to the games, where a lot of the members, they all lived in and around Boston. So it's not their fault or anybody's fault but my own that I had to drive an hour. But I had to drive an hour and we needed a certain number of players. We needed a certain number of female players too, because it was the co-ed team. And so that had its whole thing all on its own. Then when I was here in Las Vegas, I joined an all women's league. And if you've listened to this podcast, you've probably heard me tell the story about it, but I joined and I played for 2 seasons. First season was fine. I was in like a hodgepodge group because I didn't have a group of friends. That's another thing. I needed a group of friends to join and make a soccer team. Or I got put on this hodgepodge team of just random players. And it was fine. We were part of like the lowest league. Nobody needed to have any experience or anything. The games were at 7, 8, 9, and 10 p.m. at night. And at the time, that was fine. I worked, God, I don't even remember what time I worked till, maybe 6 o'clock. And the league was 20 minutes away from where I lived. It wasn't that big of a deal. But I started noticing it was harder and harder to play at 7, 8, 9, or 10 o'clock at night. And then I left the league completely because quite frankly, I didn't want to be friends with the people that were on the team, because the first group that I was with, there was this one woman who was on the team and she had never played soccer before. She joined because the man she was going to marry, their whole family played soccer. And she wanted to learn soccer because they had family get-togethers every Sunday. They had Sunday dinner, and in the afternoon, they played soccer together. She wanted to participate. So she's like, I'm going to join a league. I'm going to join the league that doesn't care. It's not like the A league, the B league. It was probably like the C or D league. She joined so that she could learn how to play soccer with him. And through that whole season, if anybody forgot water, she always offered them hers. The next week, she brought extra water. Somebody forgot their shoes, she would let them borrow her shoes. Like she'd alternate. When she was in, she wore her shoes. When she came out, she gave them her shoes. The following week, she came back with a second pair of shoes. Like, this is the type of woman that was on the team. And I was like, this is awesome. She is such a team player. No, she's not the best. I mean, even at one point, I think she kicked the ball the wrong direction to start the game after a goal. Like, she really didn't know what was going on. But that was okay because it was the fun league. Well, the following season, I found out, so she was not on the team. And I thought, oh, well, maybe she's just not playing. And then we got a text message from her because we had like a group chat. Some people on that team had requested she be removed from the team because she was so terrible at the game. And I decided, well, I will finish out this season, but I am not coming back. I don't want to be friends with people on this team who are going to do this. And I guessed who had made that request. And it was these two female, well, obviously female, it was an all-female group. It was these two players who were on the A League and joined this league as well to get an extra game in every night they played. So they would play the A League, which was the earlier session time, and then immediately after, they'd come and play on our league to get more playing time. Why are you joining this league? This league was for somebody like me who just wanted to have a good time. This league was for that other woman who wanted to, again, have a good time and figure out how to play soccer as a 30-year-old, having never played soccer before. And I did not want to be part of that anymore. So I decided to leave. So running, much easier, right? That was a long story to go with running much easier. I can have my leggings, my shirt, my sports bra, my socks, my shoes, and I can go out the door or I can go on my treadmill. I don't need to rely on somebody else. I don't need to figure out the timing of a coordinated league. I can go do it. But when we are not the elite runners, when we are the slow runners, we're taking 6 or 7 hours to do a marathon. We're doing run walk intervals. The information that's out there, most of it's not for us. Like seeing somebody say that to train for a marathon, you should not run longer than 3 hours on any long run. Friend, how are you going to finish a 7-hour marathon if you can't run more than 3 hours on your long run? And if you think about it, that information is for somebody who's running a sub 3-hour marathon. So it's the same concept of don't run more than race distance during your training. Don't run more than race time during your training. I agree with that concept. I agree with that theory. But the message is often getting misconstrued, and slow back of the pack runners are seeing that they should be doing that. They should be following that advice, not running more than 3 hours for their marathon. That's meant for somebody who's planning on doing a 2-hour and 50-minute marathon. No, they should not be running more than 3 hours for their training for that marathon, because they wouldn't be out there longer than 3 hours on race day as long as everything goes according to plan, right? So I use that just as an example of the information that's out there is not meant for us. Now, granted, I'm sure there's some information out there that is meant for slow back of the pack runners. It does not come across my feed for the most part. I also don't follow a ton of running accounts because although I enjoy this, I am a running coach, I am a physical therapist, I do all of this. That's not why I'm on Instagram. My feed is full of Taylor Swift fan accounts. It is full of dogs, all of the dogs, and early 2000s, 90s throwback stuff. That's the stuff that I'm interested in, I want to watch. And then crochet stuff. I got tons of Wooble stuff and crochet stuff coming up on my feed. So honestly, there could be some other really good information out there. I just don't see it. And frankly, I don't really want to see it right now. So, how can you get faster when you're slow? So, let's break these down. I have 3 simple things that you can do to get faster. And I promise you, none of these are running more. That is a huge mistake that I see a lot of runners when they come to me. They say, well, I need to be running more. I need more miles in the middle of the week. I need longer long runs, or I need faster long runs, but that's a separate conversation. Running more miles doesn't just magically make you faster, because, if you do that, maybe go ahead and DM me, runDisney DPT. I would love to hear how it works for you and why you do it. Because I know why some runners think that works. And part of it is just, well, when I run more, I become more fit. And they've seen that when they first started running, as they ran longer miles, they were getting faster. What actually was happening is, when you're a brand new runner, never having run before, you automatically are going to be getting fitter almost each time you run, at least each week. Week over week, you're going to be getting fitter. And runners incorrectly correlate the just week over week of doing the thing, getting fitter, with I'm running more miles each week, so that's what's making me fitter. When in fact, if you ran the same amount, same distance for a month, that first time you went out running, let's say you run a mile 3 times a week for 4 weeks when you first start running, you will get fitter, you will get faster. It's not because you're running more miles, it's because you're being consistent with doing the thing. And it's much quicker, you get fitter much quicker the more out of shape you are. The more in shape you are, the fitter you are, the harder it is to get even more fit, faster, and things like that. Just like losing weight. If you've ever lost weight, in the beginning, the pounds seem to just fall off. They melt away, right? But those last 5 pounds, those last 2 pounds take forever. I saw it all the time in physical therapy. I specialized in meniscus, arthritis, knee replacements, hip replacements. I specialized in those things when I was in the clinic here in Las Vegas, and in Achilles tendinopathy things, because that's what my research was about when I was in grad school. But I saw it a lot with knee replacements. So patients who were having a knee replacement, they would get 75% better in the first 6 months. Their pain would drastically improve. Their range of motion would drastically improve. Their strength would drastically improve in those first 6 months. That last 25% of everything, the last 25% of their range of motion, the last 25% of that swelling, the last 25% of their strength took another 6 to 12 months. But they got 75% better in those first 6 months. Because when it first is starting to happen, it goes much quicker. Happens with weight loss. I saw it in the knee replacement world, and it happens with getting faster as a runner. So you see all of these really quick wins and then you plateau and it takes forever. And what you did to get there doesn't get you further, right? I think the saying is what got you here won't get you there. What got you to this point right now, the way you are with your speed, with your pace, what got you to this point won't get you to the next point. Something needs to change. And that's what I'm talking about today. The 3 things to do that will get you faster when you're slow so that you can stop for character stops, have a bigger buffer between you and the balloon ladies. Because starting in the last corral, if you start at the very front, you might have a 20-minute buffer, depending on what race it is. But how do you keep that buffer? And how do you get character stops and keep that buffer? You may not be able to do it with the things that have gotten you to where your pace is now. So the top thing to do, I'm going to go over 3 simple changes you can make starting today to get you faster for your next run. Your next race. Slow your long run way down, like way down. Think about what you want your race pace to be. This is if you don't know what paces you should be running. Think about what you want your race pace to be and be realistic. If you want your race pace to be 15 minutes per mile, don't say if you think your race pace could be 15 minutes per mile, don't say you want it to be 10 minutes per mile. We got to be realistic here. But let's say your race pace is going to be 15 minutes per mile. You need to slow your long run down to 17 or even 18 minutes per mile. I know it sounds backwards. I have seen it work over and over and over again. Saw it work with me personally. Now, if you're new to this podcast, I only recommend things that I have tried or I am willing to try. So I don't recommend burpees as an example. I hate burpees. Hate them. Hate them with a fiery passion. I will not program them unless somebody specifically says, I love burpees, can't wait to do them. Great. By all means, we can include that. But if you're not that person, you're not going to see that show up on your list.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hey, quick heads up. If you're training for a Run Disney race and feeling like there's no way you'll have time for character stops without the balloon ladies breathing down your neck, I've got you. I'm teaching a free workshop that'll show you how to train smarter and get a bigger buffer without adding more miles or feeling broken. It's called Buffer Miles and Character Smiles. Click the link in the show notes to register now. I used to go out and just run my long runs, whatever pace happened. And I look back at my map, my run, and my paces were all over the place. They were never consistent. And that's a problem because if you're going out for a long run, let's say a 10-mile long run, and you have no idea how long it's going to take you, how the heck do you plan the rest of your day? How the heck do you plan to even block out that amount of time? Now I know that my 10-mile long run will take me 3 hours. And I know that because I anticipate my race to take me 3 hours. So I make my 10-mile long run be 3 hours. And it worked on the dot because for my 10-mile long run leading up to Halloween half marathon weekend, I did Chills and Thrills, the 10K and the half marathon 2-course challenge. I finished that half marathon in 3 hours and 5 minutes. So I was a 5-minute difference in what I anticipated my race day would be. 5 minutes in 3 hours, I call that pretty spot on. That's quite good prediction. And I slowed all of my long runs way, way down, including that peak long run 10 miles. Slow your long run way down. When you run your long run every single time at race pace, and if you're doing that, you're also probably running your midweek maintenance runs at the same pace. You're constantly running at race pace. But what does that actually mean? That means you are running at the fastest you can run, right? Because we aim to run the fastest we can run when we're racing. We are constantly running at our upper limits all of the time. That is going to exhaust you. It's going to gas you out, and you're going to have nothing left in the tank come race day. So not only will you not get faster, you could potentially be so exhausted that race day, you're even slower and you do get passed by the balloon ladies, which means you get swept, which means no character stops. We don't want that. Slow down your long run. The second one is fuel for your time. Okay? When you're going out for your long run, when you're going out for your race, fuel for your time, not the distance the race is. Okay? What do I mean by that? You will see lots of information out there of these elite runners, these fast runners. I use the word elite. I don't really know what else to call them. They're not necessarily like the Olympians, but they are these runners who are fast. They're doing sub 3-hour marathons. Their 5K is taking them like 18 minutes. They're fast. And when we look at what they're fueling for their race, that doesn't match with what we should be fueling. So don't look at your race as I'm just running a 5K. I'm just running a 10K. I shouldn't fuel. Think about how long is that race going to take you? If your 5K is going to take you an hour, you need to be fueling. If your 10K is going to take you 90 to 100 minutes or more, you need to be fueling for that. If you're going to be out there for 60 minutes or longer, you need to be fueling, no matter what the race distance is. So don't look at the race distance and think, I don't need to fuel, it's just a 5K, but it's going to take you 60 minutes to do. You need to fuel for that. Don't look at it as, oh, it's just a 10K. I don't need to fuel. I only need to start fueling if I'm running 8 miles or more. Incorrect. Because if you're running a 15-minute mile or a 16-minute per mile pace, that 10K is going to take you 100 minutes. You need to be fueling for that. If there's no fuel in the tank, you have nothing to make you go. Your muscles need carbohydrates, they need sugar to adequately move, to efficiently move. So fuel for your time, not the actual race distance. So my half marathon, I look at some of these runners that come across my running page and they are running really fast half marathons. They're running under 2 hours. And they're like, yeah, I'm just taking like 1.5 gels on this half marathon because that's going to be 70 grams of carbs, which hits my 60 to 90 grams per hour that I'm out there. That's perfect for them. But if my half marathon is going to take me 3 hours, 1.5 gels is not going to do it. I need more. And so do you. And then finally, figure out your actual pace. Stop guessing. Stop just willy-nilly going out and thinking, you know what? I'm going to go for my run today and I go as fast as I go. That's not going to get you faster either. Whether it be your long run or the middle of the week, what other coaches will call maintenance runs. I don't recommend that. I recommend speed workouts. That's a whole separate conversation. There are 4 speed workouts that I recommend for slow back of the pack runDisney runners, especially those who are running 14 plus minute per mile paces and using run walk intervals. But no matter what type of run you're doing, you need to know your actual pace. No guessing, because a 16-minute per mile one day and a 14-minute per mile another day, those may feel equal in your body, right? Like a 14-minute per mile pace could feel really hard one day, and a 16-minute per mile pace could feel equally hard another day. There are so many factors that go into it. So we can't base it on feelings and guessing how fast we're going. Find out your actual pace. Find out how fast or how slow your easy pace should be. Find out how fast a middle of the road, I call it moderate pace, should be. And figure out how fast your upper limit, your hard pace should be. And you use those different paces in different aspects. And I'm going to talk about that in the next podcast episode about how you actually use those paces. But for now, for today's, you can get faster when you're slow when you do these 3 simple changes. Slow your long run down, fuel for your time, and figure out your actual pace. No guessing. Please take what you've learned in this episode and use it to adjust your strategy for your runDisney race training. It's not about doing more. It's about doing the right things in the right balance so you can finish strong, not broken. And if you want personalized guidance specific to your race, your injury history, your running background, and your goals, that's exactly what we do inside Stronger, Faster, Finisher. You'll get step-by-step instructions and a proven system to help you train smarter from start to finish. Join the waitlist today to be the first to know when it opens next. That's all for now. Talk to you soon.